Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shayna. If you are new here, we discuss historical locations that are known to be haunted. We dive into the history and discuss who or what could be haunting them. If that's something you're interested in, be sure to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. Last week's video, we talked about the Cecil Hotel. If you missed it, I'll be sure to link it up here for you. Today's video is a good one. I feel like everyone's heard about it at least one way or another. But today we'll be discussing the Winchester Mystery House. But first, let's kind of go into the history of who built the home. Sarah Lockwood Pardee was who constructed the home. She was born in 1839 in New Haven, Connecticut. She married her husband. His name was William Wirt Winchester on September 30th of 1862. Now, William was the only son of Oliver Winchester, and Oliver was the owner of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. In other words, they made the Winchester Rifles. A few years after Sarah and William were married, they had their one and only daughter, and her name was Annie Pardee Winchester. Annie was born on June 15th of 1866, and she would sadly die 10 days later due to malnutrition. They ended up not having any more children after this. Sarah's father would end up dying in the year 1880. Then, not long after, her husband William would die of tuberculosis in March of 1881. After her husband died, she received a very large inheritance of about $20 million. So she would end up having 50% ownership of the Winchester Rifle Company, as well as receive an income of $1,000 a day, which in today's standards is about $26,500 a day. If I was getting that much money daily, I'd have my debt paid off by now. In 1886, Sarah would end up purchasing a 2-story farmhouse and ranch in San Jose, California. This property was originally called Lanata Villa, but would later be known as the Winchester Mystery House. She would later die September 5th, 1992 in her sleep due to heart failure. She lived to be about 82 or 83 years old. She left her home to her niece, and her name was Marianne or Marion, not exactly for sure, but her last name was Marriott. And she essentially just went in and took whatever she wanted and auctioned off the rest of the home. Now let's talk about how magnificent this house is. It just blows my mind. This house is called an historic wonder, and it was labeled a historic landmark in San Jose, California. From 1886 to the day she died, September 5th of 1922, the construction on the home never stopped. I've got my notes here. Let me just read the makeup of the home. It's a little crazy, okay? You ready for this? It was 24,000 square feet, had 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors, 161 rooms, 40 bedrooms, 2 ballrooms, only one is completed, 52 skylights, 47 stairways and fireplaces, 17 chimneys, 13 bathrooms, 6 kitchens, 2 basement levels, 3 elevators, and only 1 working toilet for Sarah. It was said that all the other restrooms were meant to confuse the spirits, so there's only 1 working toilet. Now, the carpenters would work on the house day and night until it turned into a 7-story mansion. Can you believe that? 7 stories? Crazy for a mansion to be 7 stories. Unfortunately, there was an earthquake back in 1906, and it caused 3 of the 7 stories to cave in. So today it's only a 4-story instead of a 7. Now, since the house is all built wonky, like it's, with all those rooms I've listed, some people believe that the symbols that are in the home point to a Francis Bacon and not ghosts. They speculate that the designs of the home were Sarah's way of creating a puzzle full of encryptions that were inspired by the work of English philosopher Francis Bacon. They believe that the true meaning is hidden in the ballroom, the Shakespeare windows, and the iron gates, which would suggest that she was a member of some sort of secret society, or kind of thinking like maybe the Freemasons. But she was also obsessed with the number 13. She had 13 paned windows, 13 paneled ceilings, 13 step stairways. Even her last will and testament had 13 parts in which she signed 13 times. But either way, the home was very odd. It had doors and stairs that would lead to nowhere, windows overlooking other rooms, and stairs that had odd-sized risers. And approximately 20,500 gallons of paint was used on the home. It was built for a price of $5 million back in the day, and in today's money, that'd be about $71 million. An overall weird home. Like, I would hate to live there and you open one door and realize there's just a wall there, or go up one set of stairs and realize it just leads to nowhere. I would get so lost so fast. Now, there are some theories on why she moved to San Jose, why she continuously built on her home. The most popular is that Sarah went to a medium or a psychic to seek advice from her deceased husband on what she should do next. So she goes to this Boston medium and she's so-called channeling her deceased husband. She says that William tells her Sarah needs to leave New Haven, Connecticut and travel west, and that when she finds a place, she must continuously build onto the home for herself and for the victims that have fallen because of the Winchester rifle. His words were, and I quote, "Stop or you will die," as in stop building onto the home and you will die. Honestly, to me, sounds like the medium's just kind of messing with her. Like, why would you believe that? I get it. Like, back in the day, I think it was a little bit easier to be tricked, but I mean, that's still a little out there, right? Right? I don't know. Honestly, nobody really knows if her going to see the medium was true or not. It's just a story that's been passed down. It's also very possible that she just had depression and wanted a change of location and a hobby. With a hobby, I mean, that's kind of a weird hobby too to have. Like, you've got to think that there's something wrong with her thinking, because you don't just build stairways that lead nowhere, or have doors that open nowhere, or have rooms that aren't working, like bathrooms only have one working toilet and a bathroom. It just, you'd think there'd be something more to it than just depression and wanting a hobby. That's just my opinion. Another thing that people are saying is that she just started believing that her family and her fortune were haunted by the ghosts who were victims of the Winchester Rifles, and that by moving west and continuously building onto her home would appease these spirits that are haunting her. A fun fact is that Sarah would sleep in a different room every night to supposedly confuse the spirits. Now we've talked about the history, so let's get into the hauntings. There are several employees who work at the mansions, as well as people who are visitors, like tourists, who claim to have seen ghosts. Now, before the mansion opened up for tours, there was a man there working. He was on a ladder inside the home. As he was on the ladder, he felt a tap on his shoulder, and he turned around and no one was there. So he's like, okay, maybe it's just my imagination, you know? So he goes back to work and he's refocusing, you know, trying to get his job done so he can maybe go home to be with his family or something. I don't know. He was trying to get his job done and he felt a hand push on his back and he's like, I'm out. And he was gone. Other people have stated to have crossed paths with a ghost named Clyde. Now, he is a mustached man who is seen to be pushing a wheelbarrow down in the basement, or he is seen trying to fix a fireplace that is in the ballroom. He is described as wearing white overalls and a Victorian boater hat. Try to insert a picture here of who Clyde was. Now, there's a long-time maintenance worker, and his name was Denny, and he's worked at the mansion for a while. He claims to continuously hear footsteps as he enters the water tower, but every time he goes to investigate, the so-called trespasser seems to always be one step ahead and one floor above. Eventually, he'll reach the top floor, and there'll be no one there. Now, Houdini visited the home in 1924 during his nationwide debunk spiritualism tour. I actually learned about this on the show Mysteries at the Museum. I had no idea that he did this, but he would go to different psychics or haunted places and essentially debunk them. He would find out how they were tricking people and would call them out on it and all that jazz. It was a few years ago. I think it's on Discovery Plus now, The Mysteries at the Museum. I don't know if all the seasons are on there. I think they are. It is on there and it's a pretty good show, so I would check it out if I were you. Now, Zach Bagans from Ghost Adventures, he visited in 2014 as well. That was a pretty good episode. I think he ended up bringing a medium and talking to the spirits. Again, it's been a long time since we watched it, but it's a pretty good episode too if you are interested in watching something like that, which if you're on my channel, I'm sure you are. Now, the most known haunted spot in the home is the corridors on the 3rd floor. Tour guides have claimed to hear footsteps and disembodied voices that will whisper their names, the tour guides' names. Now, do you remember the earthquake that I mentioned earlier? If you did, good. It means you're listening. Well, what I didn't mention was that earthquake caused Sarah to be trapped in a room that she was staying in. Now, I'm not sure how long she was trapped in that room, but she was trapped for a while because her construction workers had to dig her out of the room. Now, soon after she was set free from the room, she ordered them to seal it up. Stayed sealed until it was opened and added to the tours. One day there was a tour guide and they had their participants in that room that was sealed. They heard a deep sigh come from the hallway, so she's thinking there's, a straggler in the hallway that she needs to bring into the group with her. But whenever she goes out into the hallway, she didn't see any stragglers. Instead, she found a ghostly form gliding around the corner. The guide ended up following it. Boy, was she brave. And then she heard another deep sigh. Possibly that was where Mrs. Winchester would take refuge from all the people that's coming in and out of her home. What do you think? Well, everyone, that's it for me today. Let me know what you thought about this video and if you thought it was interesting. Don't forget to hit subscribe and that notification bell so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. I'm here every Wednesday at 10 a.m. And be sure to give me some recommendations on what you would like for me to dive into next. Anyways, guys, I'll see you all next week. Bye.